All right, everybody, I want to get you caught up on what's going on with these storms in northeast Missouri that stretch back into parts of central Missouri and then out into southwest Missouri. You know, the severe weather threat doesn't look promising for St. Louis. We're okay with that. We still stay, though, in our weather impact alert through the overnight hours until 7 a.m. because we are dealing with the potential that some of these storms could, cause some problems here. So here's the lowdown. You have the impact here coming from this line of thunderstorms, which will have some gusty winds with it for sure. There may be a few spots where the winds actually get to the point of being severe. Now, Quincy had an 81-mile-per-hour wind gust just before midnight, but those storms were a little more intense there, and they've subsequently weakened. But we're keeping our devices charged and being aware that there might be an isolated wind gust that is severe. You're starting to see these storms here as we come up on 1220, 1230, pushing into northern portions of Pike County, northern portions of Montgomery County, and out Interstate 70, getting out there towards Kingdom City. That's where a lot of that action is right now. Now, it's not overly, when we're looking at this line here, it's not overly organized. And when I say it's not overly organized here, yeah, there's a pretty definitive line here, but it doesn't look like these storms are doing more than producing winds of maybe 40 to 45 miles per hour and also producing some downpours. And they're noisy. There's a lot of cloud to ground lightning with that too. But as far as severe weather goes, they really don't look like there's big surges in there. Now, there has been a little bit of a surge in that line that is approaching the Springfield area right now. And because of that, there is a severe thunderstorm warning down in that area off to the west and to the north of Springfield. They're going kind of on a line up towards Bolivar, Missouri. That storm's moving northeastbound. Anytime we've had any of the lines kind of tilt a little bit and become more northeast oriented, that has tended to kick up a little extra wind in those storms. So again, we're tracking all of this tonight. There is a severe thunderstorm watch. Only includes Gasconade and Phelps County in the 5 on your side area. But, it's to the west and to the southwest of St. Louis. We're watching that. This cold front's advancing in. We're still above 70 degrees in St. Louis, still in the 70s. Once the rain gets in, it drops into the lower 60s. Once you get really behind the front, we drop it back into the 40s and 50s. So here's your future cast. And this is what we're looking at here as we go towards 1 o'clock. Again, it might be a little bit behind here, but between 2 and 3, this line of showers and thunderstorms should be rolling into the area. There's a trend here for the storms to continue to weaken a little bit, but still that first 15 to 30 minutes is going to have the wind gust potential, at least 30 to 40 miles per hour, and maybe some isolated 50 or 60 mile per hour winds. But by 6 o'clock, the leading edge of those storms is getting almost out of the 5 on your side area. And then by 10 o'clock, most of the rain is out of the area. So we're making progress there as well. So, we're getting that out in the morning. Trick-or-treaters are going to be fine tomorrow. As we go through the day, the clouds start to break up here by the time we get into the afternoon hours, and then we'll be clearing out altogether going into the evening. It will be cooling off for sure. We'll be dropping back into the 50s tomorrow evening, but the trick-or-treaters will not face gusty thunderstorms. That's not happening during the trick-or-treat part of Halloween. It's happening pre-dawn on Halloween, pre-daybreak. And most of the storms we see are not going to be severe. So that's the good news that we have for you. But they will wake you up. They will be noisy. Keep your devices charged. There could be a couple of isolated power outages. We've seen that across parts of northeast Missouri, but unlikely really to see that around the St. Louis area. Here's a look at what we're dealing with tomorrow. Actually, our computer thinks tomorrow is Friday, so this becomes Friday's forecast, which means I'd need to change those winds more to the west and slow them down. But Friday looks like a brilliant, beautiful day, right? The computer just picked up the fact that, hey, it is after midnight, and I didn't adjust that from tomorrow's forecast to today's forecast, because that's what we're dealing with. So here's a look at your trick-or-treater forecast for tomorrow evening. No problems. Not going to have any concerns here for trick-or-treaters. The weather is going to cooperate for sure, right? So we will be clearing out. We'll be looking pretty good here as we go into tomorrow evening. It's tomorrow morning when we have our problems, and it's really up to and about the rush hour. And then once we get to the end of the rush hour, life will be much better. So as we go into the weekend, the rain chances will be returning on Saturday, those rain chances returning on Sunday. And we're also rolling those clocks backward. You know, we're spinning back, losing that hour of daylight in the morning or in the evening, and shifting it back to the morning. So sun sets on Sunday before 5 p.m. It'll feel even worse because it's going to be cloudy on Sunday and Monday. Even for election day, there will be rain in here, and it's off and on. It's not going to be continuous all the time, but kind of just waves of areas of showers that we deal with. But there's really not any cold weather in the forecast here as we go through the next few days. So again, that weather impact alert here through the overnight hours, this line of gusty thunderstorms rolling in. Not a big impact in terms of severe weather, we don't think, but it is going to be noisy, and there will be some 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts out of some of the stronger storms, and maybe an isolated storm or two gets a little stronger than that. But I don't think we're going to have any widespread severe weather, but we're continuing to monitor it here. Your weather impact team always keeping track and tabs on the weather and keeping you up to date.
I don't know what, like I know the Good Friday tornado. I don't know the exact year.
Good morning, everybody. It is early on Halloween morning in St. Louis. We're tracking thunderstorms with some gusty winds, but so far not a big severe threat showing up at this point. Anthony Slaughter's here in the Weather Impact Weather Center as we continue our weather impact alert through the overnight hours. So let's get right into it, show you what's going on with these storms this evening or early this morning. Depends on, it's evening if you're still up and you were working the evening shift. It's morning if you just woke up and you just woke up, because that's how it goes. So here is the outflow boundary already cutting off the storms up there in Pike County into Lincoln County. That's a good thing, because that tends to shut down the storm's ability to gather strength. Now we get a little farther down along this line, we do have some surges in there. One's coming in out there across 70, just across the Callaway-Montgomery County line. So there may be some 50-mile-per-hour winds in there. There's another one back along the Missouri River. And then we just kind of go to the southwest here over the Lake of the Ozarks region and then down into southwest Missouri. Those thunderstorms were really intense a while ago. They aren't as much right now. We still have, heavy rain, a lot of lightning, but the lightning intensity seems to have decreased somewhat. They're already starting to trim the western portions of this severe thunderstorm watch, and it only includes Gasconade and Phelps counties in the 5 on your side area. As this front keeps moving closer, we're still on the warm side of it. 72 degrees as of 1 o'clock in St. Louis. Columbia is down to 62 with the rain. Really, any severe weather threat is just literally right along the leading edge of this storm. And I think it's probably going to be confined to the next hour or two. So here we are at 1 o'clock. So by 2, 3 o'clock, we're looking at that line continuing to weaken. There's still going to be some 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts along the leading edge, but really you only have to worry about the first 15 to 20, maybe 30 minutes with the gusty winds. And then after that, the winds turn to the west. It gets cooler. We're stuck in some rain for a while, but that'll be moving out towards the end of the rush hour, and we should be drying out here and looking pretty good for the rest of your Halloween festive activities as we head towards trick-or-treat time for the evening hours. In the meantime, until about 7 o'clock in the morning, we will continue with our weather impact alert for this line of gusty thunderstorms. Again, any severe weather threat seems to be pretty low and isolated, and it also seems to be pretty much confined to that leading edge of the storm. So the first 15, 20 minutes, that's about it. But keep those devices charged. There could be a couple of scattered outages here and there on the power. As far as trick-or-treating goes, we're in great shape here. Halloween forecast clearing us out and dropping us back into the 50s here for the evening hours. Right now in St. Louis, it is 72 degrees. Our dew point is 58 at this point. So I guess that's not a bad thing overall, that we're keeping that from getting any higher than 58. If we can keep it below 60, that actually helps us out here with our severe weather chances and limits them even further. So you got a weather impact alert here early in the morning, and then the rest of your forecast here features some rain moving back in over Saturday into Sunday. That'll stick with us into Monday and Tuesday. Yes, that impacts Election Day, but it's not a continuous rain all of those days. It'll be waves of rain and some thunder that we deal with through that time. So not a continuous rain. There will be some dry time in there. And what we don't see here, there is no surge of cold air coming in across our area anytime soon. Certainly not in the next week or so. So here you go. One last look at the radar before we cruise on out of here at this early hour. It's about 10 minutes after 1 o'clock. There are the thunderstorms north and west. You've got the leading line with the gusty winds sliding in and getting closer. Yeah, they're noisy storms. No indications that we have severe weather with these storms at this point, but that watch does continue out into Gasconade and Phelps counties. A severe thunderstorm watch for just a little bit longer. About 4 o'clock's the expiration on that. Alrighty, so Max 2 is actually the one that's streaming to the
towards New Haven, it looks like some of the worst of it's starting to move east of you. So now our attention is really out towards Marthasville. Meteorologist Scott Connell, he had left, and I guess maybe he turned around.
Didn't go too far.
Came back in the studio. Scott, you've been here all night, and of course, you know, we appreciate you being here. I did put a path here on the track of the storm. I checked, and Scott, these storms are moving at 55 miles per hour.
They're flying.
So I don't know if I'm going to even get an accurate track on here, but we'll get you something.
Well, and again, like you said, they're just, if you get it, it's going to be a brief spin up. It's not going to be a long track kind of tornado. This is something that's quick hitting, it spins up, and then it scoots off.
Make some room for you.
Oh, you're fine. And the overall theme here is that, you know, it's at the very leading edge of these thunderstorms. Anytime you get one that surges out just a little bit, when that surge in the line of storms interacts a certain way with the winds, then you get that tightening of the rotation. So that's what we're looking at this point. And again, it could impact eventually St. Charles County if, you know, it can hold together. The storms will hold together. It's
we'll definitely have the rain. It's just if we have these spin ups. You know, you were here overnight, and we really didn't have any kind of severe weather. I mean, it was just, you know.
Well, and we anticipated it would be around 2 o'clock and after when things started flaring up.
But before it got here, there wasn't much history of any kind of history. You know.
Southwest Missouri, there were a couple of cells, and then Quincy had an 81 mile per hour wind gust earlier. But this line was generally fairly well behaved, generally, up until this little nudge started out right along the Missouri River there on the Warren and Franklin County lines heading towards the northeast. Now, Warren County Emergency Management did open the Truesdale, the community storm shelter in Truesdale, at 10 o'clock this evening, just so that, you know, if anybody needed to get to more substantial shelter. But that's not in this particular tornado warning. Tornado warning right now, that circulation looks like it's, you know, right along the river, kind of moving towards the northeast. So
Scott, I noticed that yesterday when you posted that on X that they had done. Do they do that often, or is that something new that started?
It is. I think they've done it in just the last 2 or 3 times. They do have. I mean, it's a pretty rudimentary type of facility. It's, you know, they got air conditioning, bathrooms, and running water.
And we were talking about mobile homes. You know, that's one thing we always mention when you're in these tornado warnings. You know, that's, I think, a big concern for folks who, when you flip on the TV and we say, hey, get out of your mobile home, you know, where do you go?
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's a good place for them to.
And we're just a little bit after 2 o'clock. It looks like that circulation maybe has weakened a little bit.
Yeah, they've trimmed down the box here, you can see, in the last few minutes. So we mentioned New Haven and Lyon, they were kind of out of it. So it's still like a little portion here, even Gasconade County, you're completely clear of the tornado warning. You obviously still have rain. And lots of thunder, lightning and thunder, so you're probably getting a rude awakening this morning. But that tornado warning really, it looks like, Scott, for another 10 minutes. Probably, if any rotation, I guess it would be out towards Washington, Missouri.
Yeah, it looks like it's that brighter nub down here.
Yeah.
It's trying to push out. And, you know, southwest of Washington, right there, kind of rolling along, it looks like maybe Highway 100 there. So I just don't think that, you know, this is not something that's going to be long-lived. If it hits and it moves quickly, and we're done
kind of like right along this area here.
Yeah.
But you can see how broad the rotation is. I mean, if you've ever turned on the TV and watched us track these tornadoes, you want to look for what's called a velocity couplet, and that's basically where the purple and the green meet up, and there's a really strong, bright area, and you just don't see that. You do see where they meet up, and that's where the winds shift. That's the straight line gust that you would get before a thunderstorm. But we don't have the area of rotation that would be just one single couplet next to another. And those usually stand out. They're usually really bright. They're kind of like a comet in the sky, unlike the last one that we really couldn't see very well.
Well, and now it's been eaten by the sun. So that's another thing. It's completely gone. So,
Space weather.
This thing is really, the circulation there really has dissipated, all but dissipated. It's really gotten much broader. But that's not to say that you won't get another surge there.
Yeah, you know, it looks
Washington.
like outside, almost on the outside of that tornado warning, a little bit farther south, you can see how the couplet's a little bit brighter, kind of what we were just talking about.
Yeah, and that's
kind of right here.
Yeah, you do have the
a little bit.
You do have that area in that in the severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible there.
Yeah, and that's always, you know, something I think people forget about, even when you have a severe thunderstorm warning, which is in that yellow box area. you can still get spin-ups, and sometimes you get those straight line winds, which, in my opinion, those can be a lot more
Yeah, this is
widespread.
going to be, yeah, that would be something, and I think you're probably going to look at 40 to 50 mile per hour.
Well, yeah, we had
winds
that
for
even
this.
without the thunderstorms.
Exactly.
So that's severe thunderstorm warning goes until 2:30. So that's a little bit longer than the tornado warning.
Yeah, it's
15
broadened
minutes
out a
longer.
little bit, so that's why they trimmed back that warning. Just, the first circulation, it looked like it was headed right into Warren County, and then this one, the last few scans clearly show it farther to the south. So, is it going to impact the metro area? Sure, this line is going to impact the metro area. The overall flavor of the line is for some intense rain, some gusty winds at the leading edge. It's really that 15 to 30 minutes at the beginning where you have a potential problem, and then after that, it's just rain and it gets cooler, and we'll still be sticking with the breezes. So,
Scott, it looks like a little bit farther to the south. You've got these little notches here. I was looking at the radar just south of Sullivan. Looks like maybe over Cuba. We always talk about those hook echoes, and you can kind of see how some of these are trying to put out some of those little hook echoes just south of.
there's nudges in there, and if they can interact with the winds aloft are more west southwest, and the surface winds at the ground, they're more out of the south. And if they take just even a little bit of a southeast component to them, that helps with the twisting of these storms. So anytime you get a surge, you're kind of helping the storm start to twist, and if it can ingest some of that rotation and some of that low-level shear, then sometimes you can spin up a brief tornado. But again, if you're inside, away from windows and doors, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
This is not going to be a big, tornado on the ground. In fact, just looking at that, the circulation really has weakened even more.
Really dwindled, yeah. Even the area we saw just south of Clover Bottom there, south of Highway YY, looks like that area is even less impressive. So if, again, we do get anything, again, if you're just waking up and joining us, this is out towards Franklin County, tornado warning, really for the next few minutes, and this may expire early, depending on what the National Weather Service does, but I don't see anything now. That you can see the radar just updated and scanned, and now it's even past you in Washington, Missouri. So I would suspect here in the next few minutes they either will expire this or do something with the severe thunderstorm warning, because right now it just does not look like there is a huge threat for any kind of large tornado. Again, not to say, you won't hear the winds rattle in the house and you hear a trash can knocked down outside or something like that. Because again, we've already had winds that top 30 to 40, even without the storms that we've
And it is getting
had.
pretty close to the radar site too. So you're getting a good sampling of the winds, which looks like, again, right at that leading edge, 40 to 50 mile per hour winds, pretty common here. They're coming in towards New Melly. That's not severe thunderstorm, but it's a strong thunderstorm. And so that'll be pushing in through the metro area and in and across the area during the course of the next hour and a half or so. They are fast moving, Anthony. That's one good thing. And again, it's the first 15 to 30 minutes right along this line.
Yeah,
And
it's the
I
most
think,
intense.
yeah, and I don't think at this point I'm too concerned about seeing a spin up in the immediate future. We may get this circulation when it surges out again to try to create some kind of brief spin up, but overall, it's this is not going to be widespread severe weather. You're going to get gusty winds. You're going to have some heavy rain. It'll wake you up. It'll be noisy, but most folks are already inside at this hour of the day. And I think if you're inside, away from windows and doors, you're in your safe place.
All right, yeah. Yeah, so this tornado warning should be expiring here soon. We still have officially 5 more minutes on it. But I did want to zoom out and show you the entire area, because it's not just Franklin County that has rain. It's really a large swath of the Missouri side of the river. I mean, we're talking all the way up into Bowling Green, Troy, Lincoln Pike County. The leading edge is moving through your area now. And it's just about to move into Wentzville, extending all the way down into Sullivan, Cuba, Rolla as well. And like Scott's been mentioning, that leading edge, the first 15, 30 minutes, you'll get some really gusty wind, you'll get some heavy rain, you'll hear the lightning and thunder. And then after that, it's really just plain rain. You see back towards Columbia and those areas where you have the yellow. Some of that is actually, interacting with the radar site, but also it just gives you an idea that this area back here, it's just regular old rain. I mean, you see the lightning strikes on the leading edge, but once we get past that first 13 or 15, 30 minutes, you know, it should just be plain old rain. But that will impact your morning commute. So, you know, if you're waking up and you're thinking, I'm going to go back to bed for a few more hours, just keep in mind it still could be raining.
Yeah, I
when
think
you-
we will
when
have
you
some
get up
rain,
again.
definitely, for the first part of the commute, for sure.
Yeah.
And then it kind of fades. You know, we still have the warning in effect here, but I think the circulation really, it doesn't look like an imminent threat. There's still a little bit of a surge there going across northeastern portions of Franklin County, trying to push towards Augusta in southwestern St. Charles County, trying to push towards the Villa Ridge area. So right along the Missouri River, really.
Yeah, that leading edge right there.
Where it's nudging out. That's what we'll watch, and we'll see if we can spin something.
Yeah.
But I just don't see that as being the biggest threat right now. You've got 40 to 50 mile per hour winds, sub-severe out of this storm. But, you know, spinning up a tornado, if it were to happen, it's going to be small, it's going to hit quickly, and then it's over and it's done. Rest of the metro area is pretty quiet right now. We're actually watching, when we look a little farther to the north here, you get back into Lincoln County, Pike County, the outflow is already starting to push into St. Charles County. So that outflow boundary kind of pushing south. Depending on how that interacts with any of these storms, it's going to be moving to the southeast, and the storm's going to the northeast. Then we may have some interactions we have to worry about here in the next hour or so with some of these cells that you see down in southern Franklin County, down into northern portions.
Yeah, those working out
of Crawford
44.
County. They're definitely pretty intense, but again, you look at the cloud-to-ground lightning here, it's not overly impressive. It's
No.
there. but
We had
it's-
about 200 last check. Let's see how many we have now. You know, Scott, I remember some years past where you have, you know, thousands of lightning strikes, and, you know, it can be kind of a mess. Yeah,
Yeah.
53, so.
Yeah, a little noisy,
little
but
bit.
not excessive cloud-to-ground lightning with this. And again, the overall trend will be for this to weaken some as it continues to move off to the east and to the northeast. But we can't discount that brief possible spin up in there, just as you get a little surge in the storm where those
Yeah.
nubs kind of surge northeast a little bit, and that helps with the rotation. But at this
Yeah,
point,
kind of right in here, you'd think
Yeah.
maybe you'd get something because you can kind of see how the wind kind of bags,
yeah, you've
kind of
got
digs
some.
in a little.
And you're really close to the radar site here too. So I just think at this point we're in a scenario where, you know, most of this is going to be 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts. There may be some isolated gusts a little longer. We're not going to blow trees over. We might get a few branches down here or there. And that would be about it. And these are going to push into the metro area. There's no doubt about that. But I don't know that, as we said all along with our weather impact alert, not really looking at widespread severe weather, just one of those things where you're already staying inside and, you know, keep people away from windows and doors.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then you're being safe. And I think that's all you can do at this hour of the night, you know, and it's not, again, a tremendous threat over a highly populated area. No confirmation on anything. NWS chat doesn't have any, you know, any chatter of damage reports or
Yeah.
anything like that. So, I mean, we're not
Well,
really
there you
seeing
go.
a whole lot of problems. So,
So it looks like they just let the tornado warning expire. And so we still have that severe thunderstorm warning. Obviously, that's kind of under the radar, but it does include Franklin County until 2:30, and that is for, you know, damaging wind. Still, that could reach 50, 60 mile per hour, but that will probably be expiring too, because you can see the leading edge of it is already starting to move.
it's already moving out of the box. The
Out of-
polygon, yeah.
Yeah, it's already moving into.
And I
parts
think
of
they're
St. Charles
they're
and-
gonna kind of assess and see if they can, you know, one of the things we rely on is reports of damage, reports of power outages. When we see that sort of thing, then we know that something has happened, or that there's been some actual damage. And without that, we kind of judge on the radar, and the radar presentation is, you know, is it a strong storm? Sure, but we get strong storms frequently around here, although for the month of October we sure haven't. And there you go, there's the new severe thunderstorm warning that they just issued that does extend into the city of St. Louis.
That's
So
a big one.
Franklin, St. Charles, St. Louis County, and into the city of St. Louis. This will run until 3:15. So that's a severe thunderstorm warning. And they did not do, it doesn't look like they did not do a tag on that, I don't believe, for a tornado possible. Just this, yes, they did. So they're going to keep that. They're keeping the tornado possible. In other words, if this line surges out at any point, there is the potential that it very well could produce a brief spin-up tornado. It's not going to be something that, if it does, stays on the ground for very long, but it is moving over a highly populated area here over the course.
More
of
folks are going
months.
to get woken up.
Yeah, you
Rude
will be
awakening.
awakened. Yes, you will be awakened. It's a noisy one. The
Yeah, for
storms
sure.
do have some. I could see the lightning as I was trying to depart. And, make an emergency stop back into the
You're
station.
faithful, Scott.
And so here's your severe thunderstorm warning until 3:15 Franklin. Mostly south of 70 in St. Charles and mostly south of 270 in St. Louis County for this. That's where the worst of the gusty winds will be.
Yeah.
And again, it looks like more or less 50 to 60 mile per hour winds may be in the worst location. The hail is not an issue. There may be some in there, but it's not really a big issue there.
Yeah, this is going to be kind of one of those wait and see kind of scenarios. When you hear the thunder, sometimes, or your dog jumps in your bed and wakes you up, and you think, what's going on? And you flip on the TV and you look at this storm. I mean, it's 2:15, and the warning goes all the way for another hour.
Yeah.
So, this is going to be one of those, wait and see kind of scenarios. If you're in Chesterfield, Creve Coeur, and the city of St. Louis, because it's got to still work its way out of St. Charles County. Even though it's moving pretty fast, it's still, a ways away from, the downtown area and some of our suburbs in St. Louis County.
And the storms are moving, northeast a little faster than the whole line is moving to the east. The line is just kind of been trudging all night long, making pretty steady progress, while the individual storms are going to the northeast. And so, can these storms cause a spin up? Sure, it's definitely possible. But widespread severe weather is not expected. Even in this warning, I mean, we're talking wind gusts probably 30 to 40 miles per hour for most of you, and then in a few places 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. But that's in
and
a
this
few
is
places.
a broad area of gusty wind. I mean, we talk about the velocity couplet with the tornado warnings. You don't see that here. I mean, you just see a really large area, that gust front that usually comes in right before it rains. And so, yeah, you'll get some really gusty winds, but again, the tornadic threat, at least right now, has diminished quite a bit.
Yeah, we don't see any tightening up of any circulations. We'll just watch for any kind of nubs to pop out there and any surges when the line kind of bows out and you start to see the winds pushing the storms and it surges out. You get those little surges along the line that already starts to do a little twisting, and then it's just kind of keeping it into a situation where whether you're going to be able to spin something or not. And the environment overall is favorable if a storm can tap into it to create some spin in the atmosphere and the potential for a tornado. But most likely, you're in your house, in your home, unless it's a mobile home, which is not as substantial of shelter. Yeah. They're more susceptible to wind damage for sure. But I think we're in a situation here where, if you're in your substantial shelter, in your house, away from windows and doors, you should be okay.
Just got to worry about the dogs and the kids.
Yeah, exactly. And they'll be
Wake
joining you.
you.
And
Yeah,
waking you up.
exactly.
Yeah, as time goes on. Well, Anthony, since we don't have a tornado warning, since we had this, why don't we continue this online? We'll just kind of keep tracking.
Yeah.
And that way
on our app and 5 Plus, and
5
you can
Plus.
watch there if you want to see more coverage. But tornado warning's over, at least for now.
Yeah, and
if
this
it
severe
does
thunderstorm
pop
warning,
back up, we'll jump back on.
Yeah, and I'll just keep talking. You can go prepare your show, and I'll just keep.
Oh, this probably might be the show.
Well,
We'll
yeah,
see.
this probably is going to be the show. We'll be doing a lot of tracking on the radar all morning
once
long.
the morning commute starts.
That and the trick-or-treaters. No
Yeah,
problems for
yeah.
the trick-or-treaters.
Yeah,
this
that's the good news.
You know,
At least
they-
we get it out of the way.
Yeah, but this morning, if you're trying to get the kids on the bus in costume, this
Yeah.
may be
Yeah.
an issue.
Some good shoes.
Okay.
Leaves are slippery.
Yeah, there you go. They'll be blown into Illinois by the
Yeah, yeah.
afternoon if you're in Missouri, and then if you're in Illinois, they'll be in Indiana.
All right. Well, we'll keep our coverage going here on 5 Plus. Thanks for joining us this morning, and stay safe.
Right. Yes. So,
Do you want to go get that set up?
yeah, let me go over here.
Let me move all my fun.
Yeah, can't have any fun. Let me have your mic.
Thank you, Sean.
And,
You want this one?
yeah, I'll take that one, because that one's tied to this over here. And I'll just keep, I know we're on ksdk.com. Let me see if Jacob is in there. All right, so still the severe thunderstorm warning, and you're kind of tracking it with us here. St. Louis County, especially south of 270, and the city of St. Louis in this warning as well, and then St. Charles County along and south of 70. That's what we're looking at here. And then kind of just broadening it out a little bit, going to the southwest, that whole line goes all the way down 44. Lots of lightning with this. You've got gusty winds for sure, 20 to 30 miles per hour. Those are going to be sticking with us for a while longer for sure. So here's kind of where we are with the number of lightning strikes showing up in this particular area of only 11. Okay, so that's pretty paltry. Now, if we just back this up a little bit, we know we've got the severe thunderstorm warning. You can see a little bit of weakening. You got a lot of little nubbies sticking out here. Every time you got one of these little nudges where it sticks out, that's where you have to watch for the potential that you're going to have some wind surging along that line. And you can see, just kind of looking in here, there's that brighter green. That's indicative of 40 to 50, maybe 60 mile per hour winds in a couple of spots. So that's out in Dardenne Prairie, Lake St. Louis, heading towards O'Fallon, heading towards St. Peters and Cottleville, heading towards Harvester as well. Again, I don't think we're in a situation that we're looking at, any kind of significant bowing out of these or surges in the line, but it is a pretty balanced line at this point, and that's one of the keys you look for is to whether the outflow is outrunning the storm and cutting it off or if it's pretty balanced, and it's still pretty balanced at this point. And we still have some instability left as well, with temperatures ahead of this line still in the 70s. It is still quite warm across the region. Now I want to show you what it's looked like over the last hour. Just kind of putting this back into motion, moving it along, and the line steadily progressing to the east. The individual storms within this line tend to move a little more to the northeast. It's when they surge to the northeast that we tend to get a little more of an issue here. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning. It does include the city of St. Louis. It includes our most populated areas of St. Louis County. And the storm is moving pretty quickly here, about 50 to 55 miles per hour. The track of the strongest part of the storm, and we're going to give you a track here with some cities, is zipping right along here. So just kind of moving it off, just pulling it off to the east. This is a rough guesstimate here. Between now and 3 o'clock, it'll get into the city of St. Louis if it continues at this current pace. But Cottleville, St. Peters, Chesterfield, Ellisville, St. Charles, Bridgeton, right on over to Florissant, over to Bellefontaine Neighbors. It's moving along. So that's the severe thunderstorm warning that we have in effect right now. Again, severe thunderstorm warning goes until 3:15. Franklin, St. Charles, St. Louis counties, and the city of St. Louis. I think 40 to 50 mile per hour winds are going to be the most common thing you see with this. And beyond that, I think, now we got a tornado warning. Sean, we got a tornado warning. So we'll go back in there. Okay. Sean, stop what you're doing. It's for Metro. So it's for St. Charles County into St. Louis County. Yeah. So we're going to get you on here on TV with another weather impact alert. Now, I am not sure where exactly they are putting this. But, you know, this is going to wake up the kids and the dogs and everybody. Okay, so if I look at that, you know, tornado warning here in St. Charles. Looks like we're kind of spinning it out close to the National Weather Service office here. That's where that circulation, that little nub is sliding out. So that's what we will be dealing with here as we continue. So if you're in St. Charles County, again, these are not going to be large tornadoes. They are quick spin-up type tornadoes. So they don't last very long. They are quick hitting spin-up tornadoes if they actually form and develop. So very close to being over Cottleville right now. Stand by. So these storms we've been tracking here through the early morning hours, that severe thunderstorm warning now upgraded to a tornado warning as we're getting a little nudge here over the Cottleville area, starting to see a little surge there that generates some twisting. So there's the potential we'll have a brief spin-up tornado in the area around Cottleville heading over towards Harvester. Now the tornado warning kind of broad here, going through eastern St. Charles County and then into St. Louis County. Again, these are going to be quick hitting if, in fact, we get something to develop. But you see, as we stop this right now into the Cottleville area, what you're looking at is that little nub that's kind of surging out here. And as that nub is surging in and approaching Frankie Martin's garden there and heading over towards Harvester along Highway 94, you're going to find the potential that we get a brief spin-up tornado. This is not going to be a big tornado. If there is one out there, it's a brief spin-up. We show you the radar picture here, and you know what, Anthony? I'm going to pop on the, let's see if we get a different perspective here. If we pop on the radar out of the airport. And sometimes, because the terminal Doppler has a little different perspective, you can see what it's looking at there, and it's showing you pretty much right there of St. Peter's Howell Road. In that area, approaching that area, that's where we're seeing the surge and the potential that there's a little bit of a circulation there. Now this is on the Doppler radar out of the airport. So it was picking up on that approaching Cottleville here the last few minutes, and then it kind of dissipates or you lose some of that imagery off of that. So again, we're monitoring the situation. We don't have a confirmed tornado, but we do have that surge. And Anthony, anytime we see that surge along the line like we're seeing now, it does have the potential of creating a brief spin-up tornado. So it's surging out around Cottleville. This is, you know, in that area of St. Charles Community College, going towards Harvester here, and then pushing on into St. Charles proper, across 364 by the arena. This is one of those scenarios where if you're inside, you're basically in your safe place unless you're in a mobile home, okay? Mobile homes don't deal with the wind as well. Now, in this line, we probably have 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts with some isolated wind gusts approaching 60 miles per hour. But it's any circulation and spinning and twisting that we would worry about as this moves on to the east. So the tornado warning goes right up to the boundary with St. Louis City. So it's St. Louis County, parts of St. Charles County. Fast moving. If you're going to have a tornado, it's going to hit quick. It's going to be small. Okay, these are tight, small circulations. They briefly might touch down if they do, and then they zip on off to the east. So your timeline on this, Anthony's put it on here for us, into that Jacobs area, that's just east of Harvester in that area, Chesterfield, then into Maryland Heights, Bridgeton. By 3 o'clock, it's already Ferguson, getting close to Florissant. Right after 3 o'clock, it's pushing towards University City. So this is going to surge across the metro area. Yes, it is going to produce some wind gusts. The potential for tornado is very limited in this area where we see that surging out, and that's pretty close to being just east of looks like Cottleville right now, so just east, we would think, or northeast of the community college there on Mid Rivers Mall Drive. This will track on to the east and to the northeast. Again, brief and small. You should be inside, away from windows and doors, preferably on the lowest floor. Now, there's a lot of new apartments out here in this area too. New apartment complexes have gone up. They're wood structures, so you want to basically try to get down into the lower level, or maybe there's a basement laundry room, although I don't think that most of those have that. But you want to be inside, away from windows and doors. So as many walls between you and the outside as possible. But again, we're talking about a small tornado. So this is not a big, huge tornado like you would see in Oklahoma, or like we would get sometimes in the springtime. These are quick hitting, small. There are 40 to 50 mile per hour winds along this line, and it's continuing to advance onto the east. So the tornado warning's in effect until 3 o'clock for St. Charles and St. Louis counties. So 3 o'clock. So we are for 27 minutes or so dealing with these thunderstorms sliding through the metro area, and the potential that we're going to be looking at a brief spin-up tornado with these. Again, it is not something that's huge. All right, these are small. Anthony, you know this.
It hasn't also been confirmed by anyone. This is Doppler radar indicated. So
Doppler radar.
No confirmation. I know you're hearing the sirens go off. You're probably thinking, well, is this a drill? Is this real? And yes, it is real, not a drill. So you do need to get to that safe place. And of course, if the kids or the dogs or, waking you up, getting to your bed, just make sure you're in a substantial part of your home. If you are in a bedroom that's on the second floor, maybe go down to the basement for a little while and ride the storm out there if you can, because again, you always get these kind of wild cards, as I like to call them. We don't know exactly where the tornado will spin up, but we do know in that box that is outlined for